And we welcome you into the spotlight. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Drew Brent. And if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today. It's 479-968-5668 or cruise on over to russellvilleliving.com. It's not an exaggeration when I say I've been trying to get these two people on this show for months. And finally, their schedules worked out because they are so busy. We were able to get Daniel and Korri Freeman in here. I am so excited to have you guys. Thank you for being here.
We're glad to finally be here.
Yeah, we've tried to do it a couple of different times. And, you know, y'all are two of the busiest people that I know. You've got so much that is going on. Owners over at Kaleidoclasm here downtown. Talk to me. What is it that you guys are doing? What do you do?
We do it all.
Literally everything.
Right.
Like, you go ahead and tell them what you do first.
Well, we have an art studio downtown, and I have a kids' art studio inside, like a classroom. And so I teach after-school kids classes. I teach homeschool class. I have a preschool class for ages 3 to 5 that we actually just started a few weeks ago. It's been super fun. And then I also have my own it's kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, an extension. It's called Kaleidoclasm. I make earrings.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for a few years now, and that's been really fun. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you do?
And my name is Daniel Freeman, right? And I am an owner of Kaleidoclasm. I don't know where I'm just looking at you.
We just talk. We're just talking, man.
And I do a lot of custom work and stuff like that. Lately, since all of the COVID stuff hit, we've been doing a lot of custom work just straight out of the studio. So I haven't really had to have my doors open to the studio. It's been more like through Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So, and then I think that's,
the crux of it.
Yeah,
that's the basics
pretty much.
of it. I mean, there's so much that
Do a lot
comes out of your studio. There's so much that I've seen you guys do. I guess the first question is, where does all of that come from? The creative process for both of you. You know, where do you find your inspiration? Where does it come from?
Well, mine actually comes from just doing morning discipline a lot, you know, and that's something that you have to get up and do every day and really just grind and push and research. And I do morning sketches every day, like 5 morning sketches, and you start to develop this. It's almost like a guitar singer, or a guitar, somebody that plays guitar every day. They get what do you call it? Calluses on your fingers. You know, it's kind of like that, but you kind of do it with your brain. It's almost like a brain strength training, and so you never run out of ideas. You know, you've got this infinite, almost like, seems like a dictionary full of just ideas that you can go to at any point in time and pull from. You know, I mean, I do probably around 3,500 pieces of artwork a year.
Wow.
You know, and at the end of every year, in December, I put them up in the gallery and let people come and just kind of pick and choose what they want. You know.
There's a saying that every artist has one story to tell. Do you find that to be true?
It depends on what path you go down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you always have like multiple paths that you choose from, I think. But yeah, there's always like, it's if you choose the right one, you know.
Right. Korri, what about you? Where's your inspiration come from?
I've always been creative, and I can trace it back to when I was a kid. We were actually just talking the other day about a show that I used to watch after school, the Pappy Land. I don't know if you know that show.
Okay, that rings a bell. As a little girl and a painter, right? It was something like that.
Yeah, there was like an older guy who he had gray hair and he wore a hat and glasses, and he would do these, like, you could draw along with him.
Yeah.
And it was like always after school, and I would make sure to get in there like right at the right time. It was probably at like 4 o'clock, and draw, and there were these other characters too, like animals and funny stuff. But he was always drawing these characters, and I would always try to draw along with him. And so I've always been creative, but I've been I never really knew where I wanted to go with it. And when I was in college, I graduated with a degree in fine art, and even still, I was kind of like, I mean, what am I going to do? Am I just going to be an artist? And so I kind of leaned into teaching, And I thought, well, I'll be an art teacher. So I did art education as my major for about a semester, I think.
Yeah.
And then after I took some education classes, I was like, I don't know, I'm not really, like, I don't love the classes. And I did some substitute teaching in schools and stuff, and I liked it, but it's not what I loved. And then when we decided to have our own space, we were like, why don't I just do my own kid studio? Then I can do it my own way.
Right.
And do everything that I ever want to do, because I love teaching kids. I love, you know, having kids in the studio, and they come, and I think for the most part they come and they feel really comfortable, and they feel like they have freedom to do. Obviously, since we're not at school, they have a little bit more freedom to do whatever type of artwork they want to do.
Right.
And just kind of be themselves a little more maybe than they can be in a classroom setting. But yeah, I think
they really love the camps.
Oh yeah, we do art camps.
I designed this really awesome
it's the best. Fort
camp, and basically what they do is it teaches critical thinking, craftsmanship, how to win, how to lose. It teaches tons of like interesting things that a lot of kids don't really get.
Right.
You know, because kids don't really. I feel like they don't know how to play with toys anymore. Even.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So iPads.
So
Right.
There's iPads. There's TV monitors. There's everything. So, in this Fort camp, at the end of the camp, sometimes kids are crying. Their parents come in, and they're like,
"It's because it's a competition."
What is this? And it's like, well, your kid.
It's a little intense.
But the kids have a lot of fun. You know.
I've never heard of an art competition that got that intense, but it feels like.
Oh man.
well, it's funny because this camp is. I mean, people would probably see the camp and not think, "Oh, it's an art camp," but
yeah.
The basis is that kids, they use popsicle sticks and they build a fort, like a miniature. You know, like a base. They call them their base. And
they design their characters and their cards, and there's a lot of logic.
Daniel made a board game to go along with it. So after they build their forts, then they play against each other in this huge, massive board game.
Yeah.
And it's a competition, and they have so much fun. And then of course, there's, you know, we go through rounds, and there's a first place and a second place and everything, which is really funny. But it does get a little bit intense sometimes. But I think they learn a lot. They learn about
themselves.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Right.
You know, they get to actually see who they are. And I don't know. I think that's extremely important, especially in kids, because if you don't get that at an early age, you grow up like wondering, who am I? You know, and like, what am I supposed to do with my life?
Right.
You know, and I mean, I think that's a big thing that a lot of people go through, you know, and I think if you can start learning that at an early age, I think your odds are more on your side. I think, you know.
That's an interesting perspective, and I kind of want to follow up on that. You said it helps them find themselves and finding out who you are. That seems to be a passion for you.
Well, I think creativity is in everyone, and I think those people that are like, I am not creative at all. I don't have a creative bone in my body. I think that's a lie. I think those people are lying to themselves, because I think, you know, I know some people that say that, but they can make amazing cookies.
Yeah, that's right. People think like drawing and painting, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not creative because I'm not good at drawing."
Right.
Everybody is creative in their own way. They're creative in like how they set up their flower bed outside, or how they set up their backyard, or whatever. There's creativity in everyone. They don't know where it's at maybe sometimes, and that's I try to unlock that in kids at an early age. Because it's important. It's way important to know who you are rather than struggle with trying to figure out what you're doing and who you're arguing with. You know, we all argue with ourselves, and I think it's extremely important to figure that out early.
So when did you figure it out?
Not early. You know, it just goes back to discipline and trying to understand and figure out who you're fighting with, you know, because you're always ultimately fighting with yourself, you know, and to figure out how to beat yourself and become something better is really what everybody's trying to do, I think, you know, but it's hard, it's complicated.
Let's analyze just a little bit, because I think rank and file, most people have an idea in their head when you say the word artist.
Yeah.
I really do. I think they're thinking probably a beret, and they're, what is this thing that you hear?
Palette.
A palette, and I think they generally think that, and then they probably also think, no disrespect intended, they're thinking starving artist.
Yeah.
But the intensity that you guys are talking with right now, I think pushes back on that narrative completely.
Mm-hmm.
Push back on that narrative.
Honestly, I think you have to starve at some point. Like
we've been there.
Yeah. When you say a starving artist, I think you have to go through that and you have to stay in it. And what I did was I was like, okay, I'm gonna sell a piece of artwork or I'm gonna die. I'm gonna sell a piece of artwork today or
not eat dinner.
I'm not gonna eat.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat until I sell a piece of artwork. And that's what I did, and I got really hungry, and I finally sold a piece of artwork. But what I had to do to go through to get to that point was, I would say, go out in the woods with a stick and try to catch something, or try to kill something in the woods. And you get to this hunger, and once you figure that out, then you know what you have to do all the time, and that's the kind of, it's almost savage.
I mean, we had to set some boundaries for ourselves because there was a time where, when I was still in school, Daniel had, maybe 2 other jobs, just random jobs, just so that we could keep up. Because I was in school and I think at one point I had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
And, just part-time random things. And then finally, once I was out of school for about a semester, I did substitute teaching just to kind of offset costs. And then finally we were like, we're either going to have to go 100% and forget about these other jobs, or we're going to stay doing this forever, just half here and half there. Because as long as you have another job, I mean, you're splitting your time and you're splitting your mind, your energy.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing for a long time. And finally I was like, okay, I think you just have to make a sacrifice and, maybe suffer a little
hard.
bit.
It's
worth it. It's been worth it.
It's a lot of work.
Jay Leno is the former Tonight Show host, and I heard an interview with him one time where he talks about moving out to California, and he was determined to be a stand-up comedian. He got arrested for vagrancy 4 times and ends up sleeping on the stairwell at the Comedy Store. And one of the interviewer, I don't remember who it was, said, well, what was your backup plan? He said, I didn't have one.
You don't have one.
I was either going to make it or I was going to starve. And that basically seems to be is that a common thread among the more creative types, you think?
It depends on how much you want it.
Yeah. If you really want it to be your main thing that you do. Or the one thing that you do. Because, it could be something that you do, as a hobby. There's a lot of people that have art as a hobby, which is cool. And they sell artwork, but they're like, oh, I wish I could just quit my job and do art. Well, you can. It's hard, but you can do it. Anybody could quit their job and do their passion, but it's hard.
Were there outside influences that were, when you say, okay, you've made this decision together, hey, we're going to do this full time, and you talk to the people around you, you say, hey, this is what we're going to do. What were those conversations like?
Me growing up, I had people telling me that I couldn't do it my whole life. And I never had a dad really, and my home life was a little weird, a lot different than anybody else's. Not anybody else's. There's people that have crazy home lives, but it was I had a lot of coal in my fire right from the start, to change things and to make things different from what I had growing up, and that was my main goal. And everything that was there in front of me, whether it was negative or whatever, I just always blocked that out and moved forward, and I always had it in the background what I wanted to do, and I was like, I don't care how many people tell me I can't do it or that it's not a good idea. What's your backup plan? It was never, every job I ever had was I didn't look at it as real or that it was going to be my permanent job.
Just necessity.
It was just, it was temporary. You know, this is all temporary from what my main goal is, you know.
There had to be conversations between the two of you when you've decided, hey, we're going to do this. Did you understand the sacrifices you were about to have to make? And were you okay with it together from the beginning?
I think it took a little while. I think, well, our first couple of steps, we were working with other people. And then finally, when we got out from...
Well, our first steps was like...
Well, we did a lot of online
stuff. Yeah, I was already kind of doing online stuff. I never left my house, honestly, at first. I just worked out of the house, and I liked it a lot because I didn't deal with anybody. The only person I knew how to talk to was my dog. And I was like, I didn't even know how to talk to people. I was like, bark, bark, bark. And he talked back, and I was like, yep.
It's pretty accurate.
So I had to get jobs so I could actually socialize better. You know, it was rough. And then we met, and like she started seeing like what I was doing, and she was like, you should show people this stuff.
I was like, you should do stuff with this here. You don't have to do
Yeah.
everything online, you know.
And
you don't have to only sell artwork online. Why don't you do art walk? Why don't you ever set up for art walk? And he's like, well, I don't really want to be around people that bad.
And that kind of amazes me now because, you know, in the time that I've known you, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that. I would have thought that you were, and here's why I say that. I relate to that. As a younger guy and in school, I was painfully shy and introverted, and I'm still an introvert. People just don't believe that.
Yeah.
Same for
Same.
him.
I covered up pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, you like people.
Yeah.
But
I've gotten to like people. I didn't know I liked people.
You have like a certain amount of time in the day that he's willing to kind of socialize.
Do you find at times you've peopled out?
Mm-hmm.
Always. He tells me that all the time.
Okay, so after an art walk, I'm like, I'm gonna sleep for 3 days, you know, because
he takes a long.
I don't know what it is, but I love it at the time. I'm talking to people and everything, but then afterwards, I'm like, do I need to eat or go to sleep or something? Like, why is all my energy gone? You know, and I don't know. It's fun though. I love art walk. I love that everything's grown so much. Downtown.
Yeah.
It's really cool, you know. I mean, this is actually what I've been waiting for, is
because we've been downtown since 2014.
Yeah. Before that, I was downtown. I lived in the old bank upstairs.
Before it was the old bank.
Right.
Before it was the old bank, but
there's not a whole lot of people that know that there are apartments all up above several of these buildings in Russellville. I mean,
I've been downtown a long time, actually. Like a downtown rat.
You mentioned the fact that you've been waiting for this for a long time. Let's talk about how downtown has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've said this before. I think you guys, Emily Young, you know, Jamie Mullen. I'm going to leave people out, so I don't even want to name it. But there's a cornerstone group of people that include you two that kind of helped shift the culture. Did you know that was what was happening when it was going on, or were you just kind of hoping and praying?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, when our first physical location was with the conversation piece, when they, a little bit after he first opened, and we had kind of like our own area in there. And even then, Art Walk was different. Art Walk itself has changed a lot. I think in those few years, like in those 2 to 3 years, Art Walk really blew up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember the first time it blew up for us was when you were like, you should do an art walk.
That was right before. That was right before. That was when we had Italian Gardens, and we had a friend that lived in the apartment above Italian Gardens.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she suggested. She was like, you should come do art walk upstairs.
Well, no. What happened was, like, we had an art walk up there. One of the first ones that I think I did. I think I did one more at Rita Goodman's.
We did, yeah.
And it was okay. And I sold, I think, a couple prints. I made like $110.
That was the snowy
And I was like,
too.
yeah, it was snowy, icy night. And I was like, wow, that was pretty cool.
Right.
You know? And I was like, okay, so I'll take the same show, and I think we saw somebody up there in Italian Gardens. So I was like, oh, let's go up there.
We walked up there. I think
so
Kimberly was up there. I think.
I think so. Yeah. And we were like, okay, well, let's talk to these people, and we did a show up there. And during that show, I was seeing their hallways, and I was looking at stuff. I was like, this would be a cool space if I could do this hallway or something in here. And anyway, I was like, could I have a show? I asked her if I could do another show, another art walk, the next art walk. She was like, sure. So I went home that night, I think, and I started coming up with ideas. And then she came home one day and was like, hey, this teacher told me about this guy.
One of my art professors. Yeah. He said that when he was in college, I guess he went to art school as well, and he said when he was in college, he had a friend who, at the end of his 4 years of art school, he just had all this artwork, all of his sketches from class, all of his assignments, and he was like, what am I going to do with all this? So what he did was he filled up his house and said, come over, and he sold it. He just put prices on it, and he covered the walls, and people came in and bought it, and just, not super expensive, but he's like, I'm just going to, earn some money off of this. Why not? Other than
make it home or something like that.
Instead of just keep it in a folder or whatever, and he did. And I came home and I told Daniel that story. I was like, isn't that funny? Isn't that a good idea?
And I was like, I'm going to amplify that idea.
Cover the walls.
I'm going to cover all the walls, and I'm going to do it in 3 months with all these different styles. I'm going to make it look like there's a different artist. There's tons of different artists in here. So I developed these nudes, crazy drawings, cityscapes, to trees, just things that I was trying to see, and I labeled everything to see what sold the best. I mean, I was doing
it was really
the business behind it, to try to figure out what sells, even what people want. And once I started doing that, and it was a game changer. That night, I think in the first 2 or 3 hours, I mean, we made I would say $3,200 or something.
Wow. It was shocking. We were like, okay.
And I was like, okay,
there's something here, yeah.
Yeah. And then we started, after that night, we had people wanting to be like, hey, do you want a gallery? Do you want a show? And I was like, yes. I just started saying yes to everything. And eventually we had a gallery, we had little shows, and then Kaleidoclasm was born, pretty much. It was just it just kind of happened real quick.
I think, too, that there's something to be said about people who ask you, hey, would you like a show? Or, hey, would you like a gallery? There's a bit of a misconception in Arkansas that culture, as it were, beyond country music doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's not at all true, particularly here, is it?
I think it's interesting because I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, we're in Russellville, we can't do that, or we're in the River Valley, we can't do this or that, but we have a lot of amazing clients, and there are a lot of people here that understand and love artwork and just, different styles, and I think, it's a
even
huge
Little
misconception.
Rock. Oh, yeah. People in Little Rock that are really good to us, and
yeah, we're awesome.
You don't really need to, I think, move somewhere now that, you have internet.
Right.
Yeah,
you can have a home base and actually operate out of that. And what I think is, and I love that Russellville is actually utilizing what I can do, with the murals and stuff like that. It's finally happening,
Right.
People are finally figuring out that there's something like that here, that can be utilized. Which is nice.
You painted one of the murals, right?
I did the fish mural that's over at the marina. I did the big train on Stobie's.
It's on the back of Needing Hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I did the I Heart Russellville mural, and I did all the Midtown Coffee. I'm doing all their Midtown Coffee stuff. The murals that are over there.
Have you been to the drive-thru location?
Haven't been there yet.
He did a really awesome mural on the inside. Yeah. It's really cool.
Sweet. So
it's really cool.
I remember the first time I ever made a video that aired on real TV.
Yeah.
I remember that like it was yesterday, and I thought, oh, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. People are watching the thing I made. Do you take a step back now, either one of you? Are you able to take a step back and say, this is really cool?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just...
Sometimes. There's aspects, well, like on specific murals too, like say for example, if I'm looking at a mural, I'm like, that could be so much better. You know, yeah. I go back and I look at things and I'm like, that could be so much better.
He's an overthinker.
And I get that.
And sometimes when people place the idea in my head, like this is what it's supposed to look like, it's like I can't go from what I want it to look like, even if I do a whole sketchbook full of stuff and be like, look, this is, it doesn't.
We're very opposite in that.
Yeah.
Because Daniel is like, don't give him any ideas, don't give him any direction, and it'll look exactly how he wants it to look. And for me, I need a lot of reassurance.
Yeah. Well, one of the funny things with her is like if she's doing a set of earrings, she brings them in and she shows them to me, and I'm like, I don't know how to talk about this.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, just say it looks good and I'll be happy with that.
Well,
yeah.
It's funny. My wife and I have a similar setup in that she is very crafty, incredibly crafty. She will make things that I would never have even thought about out of things I didn't think it was possible to make things out of. And she'll show it to me and she's like, oh, what do you think? I was like, is this what you wanted it to be? Because that's great.
That's exactly how
I'm good with that, but I do not have a base of knowledge to base this off of.
I know.
But on the same token, if I say, hey, can you watch this show that I made? And she's like, well, it looks like a TV show. Okay. All right, perfect. That's all I need.
Yeah. Yes. Well, like, her stuff is sculptural, and like if it was a sculptural piece, like, of something, I would know how to critique it even.
Well, every now and then he'll say, you should do it like this. I'm like, that would not work.
Yeah,
I'm like, no sense. Thanks, but no.
I have no idea. I know.
Yeah, it's funny.
But yeah, it's a different kind of medium, and I respect it, and it's really cool. And I love how they look on women,
right?
But I just don't know. I don't know what to. As you're making it, I'm like, that's craftsmanship.
Yes, good.
Okay, so the craftsmanship on the earrings are awesome. Like that's one thing that when I look at them, I'm like, wow, those are crazy intense. Like a lot of detail, a lot of stuff like that. And when I look at other stuff, other pieces of jewelry, if it's not metalwork or there's different types of jewelry, so it's like when you look at the clay crafted pieces, hers blows them out of the water. It's really nice.
Really nice.
A couple of years ago, there was a series of drawings that were released of people around town that you did. One of them was me.
Yeah.
I had no idea where I came into the fold on that. Thank you, by the way.
You're
I
welcome.
thought that was really, really cool. What was the inspiration behind that?
Okay, so I think it was kind of like before we got together, but I did like a couple series on Facebook, and it was like I wanted to see if the idea would even work, and I drew like 5 faces, and I tagged people in them way before algorithms like would give you only 5 likes,
right?
Or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, it was better then.
Yeah, you could tag somebody, and everybody that was their friends would see it. So I posted like 5 images and of 5 just random people, and I named it my Book of Broken Friends. And the reason like I made this is because I had like 2,000 friends or something that I didn't even know on Facebook. Yeah, and on I wanted to be like, okay, so if I draw these people and they don't like it, I can delete them.
No.
I can
fix this problem with my Book of Broken Friends is what I named it. And so I drew these people and they all liked it. And some people that I drew that was random actually added me and became my friend, and all their friends saw it. Everybody started wanting prints, and it got to a point where there was like $700 days just out of my house drawing people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is cool. Just wake up every morning and draw people.
Well, I mean, there's something to it because, you know, when I saw that the first time, I was like, no one has ever done anything like that of me.
Yeah.
There's a specialty to it almost, and it appeals to my ego. I don't know what it appeals to other people, but I think there's probably some level of that.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, I feel like you used to, before you would draw people, he would send a message, be like, hey, would you mind if I drew you? Is there like a certain picture you would prefer if I did do that? Like no charge unless you want a print of it or something. Then we'll get you a print. But you don't really do that so much anymore. You just kind of he just kind of chooses. He like will make a list of people and be like, these are the people I'm going to draw, and it's interesting because it's always a surprise. You're going to do that again in April, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't know. I change stuff up so much. Well, I have a whole bunch of people that I drew probably like 2 years ago that I haven't even posted yet.
I think wasn't it that? Oh, it was the collection after you did.
Yeah.
The one. Solid.
That was
ones.
like all the sketchbooks.
The solid colors.
Yeah, those were black and whites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, those were black and whites with color behind them.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. It was just I found it flattering almost. I was like, well, this is neat.
Yeah,
Nobody has ever done. I drew a picture of me one time, but it was a stick figure.
Yeah.
And I'm really bad at that. We were talking to Daniel and Korri Freeman. They are the owners of Kaleidoclasm downtown. You've got to go and check out all of their stuff that they're doing. Where can we find you online?
I would say mostly Facebook. Mm-hmm. We both have websites. Daniel's is kaleidoclasm.art.
We had to change it.
Yeah, it was .com now. It's .art, which I think it's connected to your Facebook page.
Yeah.
So Facebook is a really good way to find any of us, and we're both on Instagram as well. So
outstanding. Real quick, we're going to run out of time, but I wanted to ask you a couple of real quick questions. The first one is, you're fairly new parents.
We are.
How has that adjustment been?
Ugh, she's already almost 4. She'll be 4 in April.
Wait, what?
I know.
I know.
No, that
shocking, right?
That doesn't seem right at all. I say fairly new. You're basically pros at it now.
Yeah.
I'm still
weird.
thinking she's a baby. That blows my mind.
It feels like she should be.
Yeah.
She's going to be 4 in April. It's been really fun.
It's been really fun, really scary, really like stressful, and like everything that will change your life forever.
It's very fun to watch her.
It's very cool. It's the best part of my life, I think.
She loves to draw, of course. She loves anything to do with the studio. She wants to go to the studio every day.
Yep. She loves to draw, loves to paint.
Yeah.
Isn't that the coolest thing, is when you see your kid do the thing that you love to do too?
100%.
So cool.
Yeah, and when people come into the gallery, she's a little salesperson. She's like, hey, come over here and look at my dad's artwork. And
so she's got the business in.
Yeah, she's already...
She knows what to do.
Yeah.
Dora came into the studio here, and I think it was the first week that I was here, and we were setting the studio up. She was already, barking orders like a producer would. And I mean, she was harder on me than any news director ever was. I mean, it's always really cool to see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This show is designed to talk about the goodness of the River Valley and the overall, the kind of the hidden gems of Russellville for people who are moving in. Why do y'all love it here?
It's cheap.
That's true. It's
Never heard that one before, but you know what? You're right.
When you live all over the place, like you start to be like, wow, it costs $20 to breathe in this state.
Right.
And then I don't know.
We love it here. We love the community, and in what year? In 2020, in 2019 we bought a house, and in 2020 we moved in. We're just like a couple blocks down the street, and it's been amazing. I mean, before we lived really close anyway, but now that we're in the downtown neighborhood, it's so, I always say it's so cozy, and it's just so nice, and we can walk. I mean, the farthest we go on most days is like to Midtown Coffee, and so we can walk from home to the coffee shop, come back to the studio, go back home, and I mean, it's all just, everything is just where you need it to be. We love it. I mean, we both grew up here.
Yep.
And we've had really short conversations before, like, what if we moved, anywhere else. Then we're like, well, why
And
would
that
we
was
do
the
that?
end of the
Yeah, it's like,
conversation.
why would we
why?
go? Why
Yeah.
would we do that?
Yeah,
And
we
I don't
love
know. All the people here are great. Like,
it. Yeah,
we love everybody
and
here.
my parents are here.
So
and
cool.
Outstanding.
We love it here.
Well, we could have gone another 30 minutes, but we're actually 5 minutes over our time.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got to wrap this up.
Okay.
Daniel, Korri, can we do this again sometime?
Of course.
Sure.
Outstanding. Please go and check out their stuff. Now, are you open downtown right now? Have you opened the shop back up?
We are open to if you want to come in or if you want to make an appointment or something. And sometimes I'll have the doors open and I'll post online like, hey, I'm open today, stuff like that. We're trying to ease back into it. And so.
So make sure that you check out Kaleidoclasm on Facebook. You can also check out kaleidoclasm.art, and it links back to Daniel's Facebook page. And then check him out on Instagram as well. Guys, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, that's Daniel and Korri Freeman, and thank you for watching the Spotlight today. As always, if you're in the market to buy or sell your home, give us a call today. It's 479-968-5668. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.